Hello, Brad and Jonathan. This is Tofu Allen from Los Angeles. I'm a huge fan. If I had a dollar for everyone I recommended to the show, I'd be well on my way to FI. I'm a side
ChooseFI.
hustle addict and I've been self-employed my whole life. I love the freedom, but now as I'm getting older, I realize my retirement nest egg is very small. I recently opened an M1 account in 2020 and started contributing to my new SEP IRA. I have two main questions. Should I mainly focus on contributing to the SEP IRA alone or also try to max out my Roth IRA? Question number two, or technically three, is there something else I should be adding to my focus for retirement? Thank you.
Oh, I love this question. All right, so we have Brad. We have an entrepreneur, and they have for their business, they have set up effectively a 401k. I'm not using the term very loosely here, but it's a retirement account as an
A
entrepreneur.
retirement
And the
account.
format retirement account. The format they pick, they have three options. They pick the SEP IRA. The two alternates that were left were the simple IRA and what's the other one? The solo 401k, right,
Solo
Brad?
401k. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's the important point is there is some distinction, and this isn't the question, so we don't need to go super deep here, but there is some distinction between if you have your own business and you are the owner of the business, but you also work in the business, there is a little bit of strategy involved between which one of those three that you pick, depending on the income level of your business. So businesses that are like small businesses and getting off the ground, maybe they're making like $30,000 a year. There might be a advantage to using one or another. Businesses that are a little bit more developed and they're making maybe like 50 to 100, 150, there might be another one. And then businesses that are 250,000 plus, maybe there might be an incentive to use one of the others. We've actually done episodes on this, and we can point people back to that. Brad, I think we've talked in the past for your own use cases. You've kind of relied on one of these versus another. I'd love for you to just share which one and why.
Yeah. So I guess in my personal experience, I actually did set up an IRA, the SEP IRA. Uh, though looking back, if I probably had thought more deeply about it, I think the solo 401k allows you to defer more money because the solo 401k allows you to make both the employee side and the employer side. So basically how a SEP IRA works, going back to the SEP for a second, you basically are just making the employer side contribution. So this more or less is like an employer match. And I think the maximum amount, and obviously you have to consult with do some research and consult with your tax advisor, but it's generally 25% of your net income for the business, but then there are some adjustments. So it winds up being usually around 20%, which is still pretty darn significant, obviously. But with the other option, the solo 401k, you're allowed to put in up to the employee side, the normal 19,500, and then you're also allowed to put in that 25% for the employer side. So if you're looking to basically contribute as much as humanly possible, the solo 401k is your better option. But I think there, and Jonathan, I'll let you jump in, but he's also asking some distinction about the SEP IRA or a Roth IRA as well.
Well, and the way I read that is because the way he's saying it is you could do both, right? So one is your retirement account. And then now the question is, all right, so I'm doing my retirement account. I'm doing the SEP IRA. Should I also try to max out my Roth IRA? And here's the interplay here. On your retirement account side, you go through that little decision tree that Brad just laid out. But now outside of your retirement account, now you still have access if your income doesn't go over a certain threshold. You do still have access to choose between either a IRA, a traditional IRA, and a Roth IRA. And Brad, I believe last year the limits were what, 5,500 for the Roth IRA. I'd have to spot check that.
Yeah, that sounds right. You would think I'd have that committed to memory. I was looking up the income limits. Actually, it looks like at least for tax year 2020, which obviously is in the past, it looks like for single people, if your modified adjusted gross income was under 139,000, you could contribute, and if it was under 206, it looks like for married filing joint. So a lot of people can contribute to a Roth IRA. So yeah, I mean that clearly is a great option. We've talked about this numerous times. I guess most recently with Sean Mullaney, the FI tax guy, who's a huge proponent of the Roth IRA. I think the Roth, this again is another situation of rising tide, right? And you learn information that you probably, you just never considered. With your contributions to a Roth, you're able to pull those out at any time, tax and penalty free, which to me is an interesting aspect. Like if you're on the fence of, hey, I'm not sure exactly if I want to do a Roth or not, there's very, very little downside to contributing. It's after tax money. So, unfortunately, you're not getting any type of tax benefit that year. But the beautiful part is it grows tax free, right? So that money then grows tax free. You can pull it out after 59 and a half, tax and penalty free. So there's a lot of benefits to the Roth IRA. And again, like I was saying, I sometimes kind of, I guess, wavered over should I put money into a Roth? And many years, even when I was eligible, I did not do it, which I'm kicking myself now. But at the time, I always had this, this thought, oh, I may need the money. Who knows? You could come up with a whole bunch of excuses. But if I had known that I could pull out, and now you want to do that at last resort, but that I could have pulled out the contribution portion at any time, tax and penalty free, that probably would have put me over the line to putting that money in a Roth.
Now make sure, Brad will look this up while I'm talking. Make sure you do, if you want to kind of know more about the nuance of funding that Roth IRA, you listen to that wonderful episode we just recently did with Sean Mullaney. We'll give you that episode number in just a minute here. But I think that you're right. That get out of jail free where you can always pull your contributions makes it unbelievably compelling, especially with the uncertainty about tax rates in the future. I think there's definitely something to explore there.